At first blush, this might look like just an empty field full of weeds. It's the church prairie meadow here outside Community of Christ. And in case you've not spent time out here or been at another prairie meadow area, here's the gist. We set aside space so that native plants could take root, and they flower, and they are great for pollinators. They're great for birds right here in our own immediate area. But when we first set aside this space, it meant mowing down a piece of our regular grass lawn and killing off the weeds and grass that were there, and then taking a risk. Sometimes scattering seeds, sometimes planting individual plants, and then just taking the risk to see what would grow. We knew from the get-go we weren't going to exactly have control. When you're planting something that's not quite a garden, not quite a farmer's field, you have to take the risk that something might take root and something might grow in a spot you didn't quite intend, or some things won't take root where you hope. We get black-eyed Susans and milkweed and bee balm alongside coreopsis and a whole bunch of other plants in the hopes that something will grow and flower and bloom. It was an act of hope, you might say, to plant this prairie meadow, scattering seed and then trusting that something good would come up, and that even if not every seed turned into a plant, it was worth it for the things that did grow and did blossom. That the beauty that we are now beginning to see was worth the risk and the effort of scattering seed kind of broadly. In a similar way, Jesus uses an image of scattering seed to describe the way God reigns, the way God's kingdom, the way God rules in the universe. And Jesus compares it to like a farmer who is scattering seed for, to plant his field. But again, in Jesus' story, there's something that is kind of reckless, kind of unavoidably extravagant, in that this farmer is scattering seed everywhere, and some of it lands on the rocky path, and some of it lands where the birds eat it, and some lands among thorns and weeds and gets choked off, but some of it grows up and takes root in good soil and it blossoms. Jesus seems to think this is the way God runs the world, that God is willing to take the risk of scattering the good news everywhere, knowing not everybody is going to respond, knowing that some people are going to flat out reject it, that some people might say, interesting, and then give up, that some people might be choked off by their interest in their money or their piles of stuff or their status, and yet God's willing to take the risk, go to the extra trouble of scattering the good news everywhere in the hopes that somewhere it will take root and that will be worth it. That becomes sort of a model for how we serve and reach out and embody the good news too. We don't just say to ourselves, well, who's likely to come to church? Let's only target them. Who's likely to be involved? Let's only reach out to them. The good news is for everybody. That means a certain amount of willingness to bear being rejected, to bear having made the invitation to somebody and have somebody go, nah, not interested. It means we take the risk of serving and not getting a thank you, or giving and being generous and not getting credit for what you've given. It's not about that. It's the hope that something will take root, that something will bloom, and that by itself will make it worth it, all the effort of what we do. When I walk here in the mornings in the church prairie meadow and see whatever is blooming, it makes me confident, yeah, it was worth it. All the risk, all the reckless scattering of seed, not knowing exactly how things would come up, it's worth it to see the beauty here and to see the way life is thriving here. Jesus says that's a better picture of how God reigns and runs the universe than, say, Caesar and his conquering armies, or Athens and their legislative bureaucracy. That God's way looks a lot more like a field coming to life than anything else. Join us this Sunday to reflect on just that, how we might be a part of God's recklessly generous scattering of good news everywhere, and for the glimpses we get to see of things taking root and blossoming that remind us why we do this. See you on Sunday.